Welcome TEC family to season 6. I am excited. Y'all, you know how you have people on your bucket list and you're like, I gotta get this person on the show. I gotta get this person on the show. Season 6, I was checking them off. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in your DMs professionally and get you to be on the show because you have something that the audience needs and we need to share it about disrupting education. So today, TEC family, we're going to welcome George Stewart II, which means there's another one behind him. And then there was one before him. Out of Jackson, Mississippi. So I know you're like, girl, Jackson. I know the water and the food because they got some good food in Jackson. But more importantly, the educators that are in Jackson, that come out of Jackson, and all the things in between. We're going to talk about it today. So he already knows he's from rural Mississippi. I'm from rural Virginia. So you know when you come over to the house, the first time we're going to fix your plate. Okay. We're going to get you a cup of sweet iced tea because nobody knows why you would make tea and not make it sweet. That's just, who does that? And we welcome you into the family. Now, the third time you come on the show, you're on your own. You family now. So, TEC family, welcome George Stewart II. And can you introduce yourself and tell us how you got into education?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform to talk about this very important work. Again, I am George Stewart, from Mississippi. I'm unapologetically from Mississippi. I make that perfectly known. And so grew up in Mississippi, rural Mississippi, that is. I attended the University of Southern Mississippi, uh, graduated with a sports management degree, minor in business. However, I ended up in education, so that's another story right there. And so I'm a husband, a father, advocate, agitator. Been doing this work for about 17 years now. And so, to your question as to how I ended up in education, so in 2005, I was affected by Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to end up moving because I was, displaced. And I ended up in Houston, Texas. And so while I was in Texas, I was trying to just kind of get my life together, trying to figure out, what I wanted to do. As I mentioned, I was a sports management major. And so just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I was working in this appliance and electronics store. And one day, a chance encounter, I call it, with a sorority sister of mine, as well as she was a retired educator. And so she pretty much convinced me that I would make a difference in the classroom as a black male educator. And so that's pretty much how I actually got started. However, I would say that it didn't take much convincing for me because my mother, who pretty much raised me, by herself. My mother was a Sunday school teacher, and if you're from rural, you know how that goes. She was a Sunday school teacher. She was over the usher board. She was Baptist Training Union president. She was drill team sponsor, choir director, all of that, right? And so I grew up seeing the leadership as well as the service to children. And so it's not by happenstance that I would end up in this profession. And so I've been here for 17 years, educating kids, advocating not only for children, but for educators as well, because we also recognize that educators don't have a voice oftentimes in this work. And that's a reason why so many of us leave the profession. And so for 17 years, I've been educated, been advocating, for students and educators, and I'm doing that to this day. And I look forward to continuing this work.
I love it. So I have, it's about 50-50 now. I'm interviewing everybody, and 50% say, I knew I was going into education, and 50% of us go, oh, it's a different major. My degree is in a completely different thing. But I'm glad you let us know that in your upbringing, in your community, in your own house, you were exposed to leadership and you were exposed to service. And I like how you said that because sometimes we forget that the work we do in education is a service field.
Hmm.
It's a service field. And yes, thank you to your sorority sister. Thank you to that retired educator for that happenstance, which was, we all know, was right on time. It was ordained
That's right.
to come in and say, "Hey, let's talk over here in the corner while you trying to sell me something in Circuit City. Act
That's
like
right.
act like you trying to sell me this, but let me put this bug in your ear." And that little seed grew into where you are 17 years now later. So I want to talk about why are you a disruptor? And I want people to understand that when we say disruptor, I do not mean it in a negative connotation at all. When you are disruptive, that's how things get changed. That's how things are exposed. And that's how we get things to move and shake and get it done. So tell us how you became a disruptor and or why you are a disruptor.
Well, so it started for me like, and I'll say this, like when I first started teaching, I always knew that I didn't want my work to be confined to the four walls of the classroom. I always knew from the very beginning that I wanted my work to be a lot broader. And so from the very beginning, I sought out opportunities to impact education, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. And so my very first opportunity to do that was the PTA. I became the PTA president. And so my goal at that point was, how do I bridge the community and the school together? Because I recognized a long time ago that in order for our schools to be successful, it's going to take more than just the educators and those inside the classroom. See, there's this idea that everything falls on the teacher, it falls on the administrator, and everybody that's within the school. But in order for us to really have successful schools, it's going to take the entire community. And so for me, I wanted to bring it up on myself to how to be that bridge from the community to the school. And so for me, that started with being the PTA president. And so I had been doing that work, for a while. And then I eventually I got introduced to union work through the union, and so the teacher federation, right? And so I became a union representative and just wanted to be a voice not only for students but for educators. And so when you look at it, one of the other things that I recognized was that a lot of the things that impact us as teachers and as students, it happens at the policy level. There's a policy attached to everything that we do in the classroom, from what we teach, how we teach, who we teach. There's a policy that's connected to that. And so what I wanted to do is, how can I find a way to help impact policy? And so I recognized that there were not a lot of educators in that particular policy space. And so a lot of my work is, how do I get educators to not only think as teachers, but also think as policy people? Because these are the things that affect us in the classroom. And so from there, the union work and the association work it just grew and grew. And so once I moved back to Mississippi, I was talking with a person that I knew. And I told him I wanted to get into policy work, but I still wanted to do that while inside the classroom, right? And so he introduced me to the National Education Association. And so they had a program called a Policy Leadership Institute. And I
Yeah.
went through that program, and I came out of that program with leadership credentials and policy leadership. And so I wanted to bring those skills and bring that experience into the profession. And then when you look at it, just looking at why so many of us why so many of us educators leave the classroom, it's because a lot of times we don't have a voice, we don't have a say so, and we don't have a clear chair at the table to help impact policy. And so my why is, I think this is what helps keep educators in the classroom. We have so many teachers leaving the classroom. We've had so many in the past leave. And when you ask why, yes, money is a reason why. And that's the safe answer, right? That's the given. But a lot of it is because a lot of us don't feel supported in the classroom. We don't feel
Right.
like we have a voice in the leadership. And so my work is to help us become leaders in the work, help us be a part of the decision-making process so that we can help impact change for our students and ourselves.
So I love that. So I'm gonna go and if here's my follow-up question. How do I do that? I know who I am. I don't care. I'm gonna say what I want to say. If I don't like it, I'm gonna be like, I don't like that program. It doesn't work with our kids, but this is a great program I heard of. Let's try this. But my personality is like that.
Hmm.
What do you suggest, or what do you already do? Because I know you do a lot with helping the teachers come in and understand policy. What are the top three things you can give to the listeners, the TEC family? How do I feel impactful and supported in the policies that are happening? And this is just general because as we know, come on, everybody knows, every state, then every district has their policies. I was just watching a young man. I'm going to remember his name in a minute, even if I have to look it up, who just got fired for wearing baseball caps. That's a policy. It was a usual policy, and and yes, it is more to it than that, y'all. We already know it's more to it than that. But then, what advice or what three tips or what three strategies can you offer an educator who may not be as confident or crazy or outspoken as I am, was like, I'm not doing that. No, I'm gonna be at the PTA meeting, I'm going to the board meetings. If you're working at a charter school, I want you to know my face. If you are in a homeschool community, there are policies about that. And so you're just that parent that's involved, that educator that's involved. What would be some three things you could give us real quick and say these are the things you need to do?
Well, I will start off by saying that this work should not be done in isolation or in silos. Oftentimes, a lot of us feel alone. And so a lot of us don't feel like we can get out there because we feel like we're out there on our own. And so that's why it's so important when I'm talking to new teachers or just teachers in general to tell them to get involved in an association, an organization, surrounding that particular issue, whether it's a teacher association, there are parent organizations out there. And if there's not, why not try to start one, right? Because what I tell members and future members that our power, because this is what this thing is about, power, right? And so what I tell new teachers or current teachers or veteran teachers, I tell them to be a part of an organization, and I tell them because the power is in the membership. And I say, as our membership grows, our voice gets louder. And as our voice gets louder, then the more impact that we can make. So the first thing I would say is just become a part of an association or an organization and just organize. Even if you're not to the point to where you want to stand out and vocally express yourself, I tell people the power of filling out my surveys, right? If you can do one just ground level, just fill out my surveys that I send out to you, because those results, that data, that's your voice in the space. I can't tell you how many times I've been reached out to because of the information that I can provide a state legislator or a district leadership, somebody from district leadership. And so that would be the main thing that I would say. Join an association or organization. If one doesn't exist, to start one. And if you're not vocal, just kind of work your way and ease your way into it. If it's nothing but filling out a survey or starting a petition, that matters.
So one, we're going to join an organization.
Absolutely.
If there isn't one, we're going to start one.
Absolutely.
I think the next one, the third part I love is because it's something I always tell my nieces and nephews about the struggle and the fight. And they go, Auntie, I don't feel comfortable protesting. Oh, honey, there are so many other ways that we can help the movement.
That's right.
We don't have protesters are for people who are comfortable with that. What we can do is we can do social media.
Mm-hmm.
We can help make the flyers on Canva. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We can make the food. So we can do old school stuff. We can make the food. We can go out there and have the juice and the water ready for them. And I love that you said that. So do something simple. When you get that survey from your representative in your building and they're do simple stuff. I love it. I'm like, look, I asked the survey about Starbucks. So when I bring Starbucks and you don't have anything, so do the simple survey, y'all. So we're asking, how do you feel about the new curriculum? If we're asking, what do you feel about the dress code? If we're asking, do you like the new times the school has stated for us to start? Answer the surveys and answer them honestly.
That's right.
Because
the thing is now for my association on the local level, we are 600 plus members strong just in my district. However, we know, I mean, you've been part of organizations, you know that all 600 is not doing the work.
No.
Exactly. And that's fine. But the thing is, do you know how important it is to, even if you're not actually out there on the front lines out there, to go into an office and say, I got 600 people that filled out my survey, how impactful that is, even if you're not doing the work right now, if you're not feeling comfortable, just knowing that I have about 600 people that's filled out my survey, how impactful that is.
And then that numbers don't lie, said the English teacher. Numbers don't like it. The numbers are gonna move stuff. And we know this, y'all. We know this. We on little scale. When I get on the scale, I need the numbers to move down because
That's
I'm
right.
putting in all this work. Okay.
That's
And
right.
so the same thing works in education. And when we have amazing leaders like George, we have to support them. We have to. So if he sends me a survey, if he asks me to show up wearing this color T-shirt, if he said, "Look, just come to the school," and I've gotten those emails. Look, we know everybody's not comfortable speaking, but show up wearing your shirt
Mm-hmm.
and sit in the audience with us and
That's it.
clap and stand and be part of the number because there it is. Numbers don't lie. I
Because the
love
thing
that.
is, this is a, and as I just mentioned, this is a power thing. And for us, the power is in, as you mentioned, the power is in the numbers. And so in order for us to really impact and, create change, we have to have the numbers. And as I say, the power is in the numbers.
All right. So how do we coordinate? Because that's one of the things I make started the podcast because we talk about connecting, we talk about collaborating, and we talk about coordinating. So we talked about the connecting. We've talked about how we need to collaborate. How do we coordinate? And I heard you said something that very important. You said when I moved to Mississippi, I was like, I still want to continue the work. And then
Hmm.
someone said, well, here is a platform that you can start working in. And you didn't just go to the platform. You went to the platform. You said, let me get trained.
Hmm.
Let me be trained in this. Now, I don't remember you saying somebody paid for you to go. I remember you saying like the school was like, here you
Hmm.
go do it. And so I want to emphasize that again, where I'm always telling people there are times when you're going to have to go use some of your own money. I know we don't have a lot. I know. Write that $300 off on your taxes. Start a business. Write it off on the business. And we're gonna have to go get our own professional development in the stuff that we love and the stuff we know will help us just be better people and be better educators. So how do we coordinate ourselves now? And I'm gonna say that because we have lost teachers. I'm no longer a traditional public school teacher, and we have new generation, and new generation doesn't just mean they're brand new out of college. It also means educators that are coming from different professions, so they've gone through this program and they're coming in and they now want to be in education. How do we bring those two groups into the fold to be disruptors and to be leaders? Because like I know, the world of I was going to say the department, the world of education, we have a horrible time training the next group. So when people leave, it's just a whole void because we didn't train the next person. So how do we coordinate that to move into the next? I say 22nd century. I don't know if that's real. I'm making it up. Move into the 22nd century.
Well, that's a good question because, as you mentioned, a lot of us veteran teachers, we are close to the end of our careers, and we are looking for, the next group of educators to come up, and not only those that just want to be classroom teachers, but in order for us to really see the change we want to see, there has to be this mindset that we're going to impact not only in the classroom, but education in general on a broader level, on the policy level, right? So I want to shout out my school district, the Jackson Public School District, because one of the things that we do, we have an awesome, awesome mentor mentee program. It's a very structured program. It's highly structured. It's very impactful. So what happens is we have veteran educators who are into, it's like a job, basically. It's like an interview process. You get accepted. You are now a Jackson Public Schools mentor. And so we are paired with not only new educators fresh out of college, but also career changers, as well as new teachers that may not be new teachers, but new to the district or new to the school. And so we are highly trained mentors slash coaches, and we're coaching these new teachers, these new educators, I should say, on not only how to improve your practice, but also how to navigate the system. And at
Mm.
the same time, while we're talking about navigating the system, while we're talking about how to improve practice, we're also talking about how to advocate and organize, because we know that all of this works hand in hand. So as I have my batch or my couple of teachers that I'm mentoring right now, not only am I introducing them, to ways to how to navigate the system in the district, and not only am I talking about how to improve practice, but I'm also introducing them to the National Education Association, or Jackson Association for Education, because we know that on this level, once you're involved on that level as well, not only are you making an impact in the classroom, but you're also impacting on a policy level. And we do, as an association, as an organization, we do endorse and we do support. We make no apologies about it, but we do endorse, we do support pro-public school legislators. So we're highly involved in the political process. So sometimes people say, JAE or the Mississippi Association is too political, and that and all of that. And I say, as educators, we can't afford not to be. This
Yes.
thing is political. So we have to be political, because we have people who are in the capitals who are making policies and policy changes who haven't set foot in the classroom since they graduated high school.
In the
And
19th.
so, exactly. So I want to shout out, again, my district on on developing and facilitating a highly structured mentor-mentee training program where we bring educators who are veterans with new teachers and showing them the way on how to navigate and how to improve practice and be a part of the policy-making process.
I love that. And that's one of the things you and I both know, and those of us who are in this education advocacy field and disruptors, one of the things we keep hearing educators who leave under 5 years is that I didn't get any support.
Mm-hmm.
No one was here. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have, or the mentor I have, they didn't help me. They were mentoring on paper. Like they were not effective. Or, when I was asking, the teachers didn't want to share. And so I'm over here, drowning, and I'm asking for a lifeline, and nobody was coming to help me on many different levels. Because as you know, a new teacher, we get dealing with the human children, and then you're dealing with paperwork, and then grading, and then the district is sending you some other stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you do for a moment. And I know I felt it when I came back from the building being shut down because we were still teaching, from the
Mm-hmm.
building being shut down for COVID. When I got back, I was like, oh, this is my 20 something year, but I feel like this is the first year. Like everything had to be adjusted, and the way I was teaching had changed. Like the way I ran my classroom had
Mm-hmm.
changed. And so thank you for shouting out your school district, and thank you for being a part of that. I know that you are now one of many that are in the program. You have your cohort that you are mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't why what why is this not universal? I think that's so, because I remember I'm a shout out way back in the day. Newport News Public School. Matter of fact, my AP is now the new superintendent. And I had a great mentor, Dr. Miss Sharon. It was crazy because I was a newlywed. Like I had literally got married like the weekend before school started. And I'm switching from elementary to middle school, and I'm switching from rural Virginia to inner city, like downtown Newport News to me, and it still is considered inner city. And all of those are changes. And these kids was whipping my butt. Like I ain't even gonna lie. They came in there like, who is this bougie black chick? We don't even like you. We don't like you because you smell different. You talk different. You look like us, but you not us. And they proceeded to rip me in a little shred. But we don't cry in front of the students, but I was in her room and in the bathroom crying. Like, I don't understand. Everybody likes it. Like,
And I'm a middle school teacher, so I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, they were, and you have have to learn how not to let them trigger you. Like they went in. And what's so funny is that that's the class I have the most contact with those students. Like I have flown to graduations, to weddings, to baby showers, like that class. But
Also,
come to find out that they would have lunch meetings about me. Like I was their target until I wasn't, and until I had to come in and go look. Because my mentor, she was like, you have to let them know that this is who you are,
mm-hmm.
but you love them and you're here to respect them and you're here to teach them. And in return, they can teach you. Because that's I went up to them and said, I don't have any street cred. Okay. I know how to hunt. I do cow tipping. You know, I'm a mudder because I had a Jeep. I know how to mud. Like they was looking at me like, what? I was like, I don't. The only reason I know about guns because I'm from the country. Like I don't know what y'all talking about. I know none of this. But respect the fact that I know English.
mm-hmm.
I know reading. I know how to get you to read. I know how to get you to love literature and to love poetry. I know how to get you to understand Shakespeare and Langston Hughes.
That's it.
And
That's it.
then after they figured out, they were like, "I'm not going anywhere. We ain't going nowhere. Like we here, bad boys for life. Like let's do this." And so
That's right.
but how? And I love that. But why? Why is this not universal? Like why are we missing this essential piece in education? Because doctors do it.
That's right.
Doctors, intern, lawyers. You know, essential. What we would say are the other essential professions. They have that mentor. They have somebody that comes to them and says, "Hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We got to do this." How come we are missing this in the universal aspect?
That's a good question. And the thing is, I we're doing it, but I think the problem is we got to find a way to streamline it, and because it's being done in different. And I definitely want to shout out, because y'all are doing great work. Y'all are doing great work in Virginia. I met the brother, Mr. Robinson. He was, teacher of the year.
Mhm.
One year I had a chance to meet him once and have a conversation with him. And he's doing some great work around teacher retention and recruitment and things of that nature as well. And so y'all are doing the work up there. The thing is, how do we streamline it across the country? I think that's the thing that we have to figure out. And I think like even like organizations like the National Education Association, American Federation of Teachers, we have these programs in place, but it's about how do we bring this together and streamline it across the country? And that's the thing we have to come to the table and try to figure out because it's being done. It's just not streamlined across the country, and that's the thing we got to come together and figure out how to do.
I love that. Okay, and we need to work on that. Now you got me thinking. I'm like, "Duh, duh, 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 duh." Okay, how do we streamline that? Shout out to my hometown and my state. I'm a rep all day, two up, two down, all day. I'm from Virginia. Like somebody asked me, like, I'm from Virginia. They were like, "What?" Virginia, and not that I'm from Lawrenceville, Virginia.
That's it.
Okay, so you'll know it's this big. Don't miss it. Don't blink. But we there. And yes, shout out to Brunswick County Public School System. I learned about the NEA. I learned how to be a teacher. They made me do long-term subbing on my vacations home from Hampton. And to the educators there who were not afraid to teach the truth. So that takes us into what we do now. Season 6, we call it Controversial Corner. So I had a lot of questions for you. I was like, I don't know which way I'm gonna go. I don't know what I'm gonna ask them. The controversy is everywhere in education, but this
It
is the
is.
controversial question I want to ask, and I know you'll be the right person to ask. Um, there is a problem with people believing in teacher unions. I grew up. My mom was a teacher. Aunts and uncles educators. Greensville, Brunswick, Mecklenburg, all Southside VA. And the first thing we were told is to join the teachers union. But we were told to join the teachers union for two reasons. One, if you get in trouble, there'll be some lawyers to help you out. And
That's
two,
right.
you want to be paying attention to your salary and your retirement. And these are the people that help you do that. But now, moving into 2023, 2024, and forward, there is some tension between should we be joining TFA, or we have NEA was where I was from, or should we just not be a part of it? They just taking our money, and like you said earlier, or they're too political. I don't really. That's not the candidate I'm gonna vote for. And I'm gonna say this again: you vote for who you want to vote for, y'all. It is America.
That's
That's
right.
the end. But I don't. I want to be part of this grouping because they have endorsed this particular candidate. And what do you say to the controversy of I don't want to join, and then we don't have the numbers, like you said, that we need to move education, and how do you combat that? Because I know you've seen it, I know you've heard it, and what do we do? Because the controversy is a struggle, um, and then me being out of the classroom, I'm like, oh, how do I even still be involved? Because I got the side out the other day because I was like, I'm a product of public education, but I believe in school choice. And so if you want to keep your child in public school, I'm gonna help you navigate that. You want to take
That's
your
right.
child out of public school, I'm gonna help you navigate that too. And the lady, she said, well, you can't play on both sides of the street. I said, it's my street. But how do we, for public educators or educators who are able to join, because sometimes you don't have to be in a public school, who are able to join, how do you combat the controversy of, they just taking my money and endorsing these candidates I don't even like?
The thing is, and I'll say real quick to the point about the school choice. School choice. The thing with that is just we just want to make sure that you're being held to the same standards as traditional public schools, and that's point blank. Period. School choice. Okay, that's cool, but just make sure that they're being held, and they're not being held to the same standards as traditional public schools across the, some place I'm sure it is, but not across the country.
Right.
But to your question, I'm in Mississippi, and Mississippi is a right to work state, meaning that there is, you have the option of whether or not to join or not to join. In some places you become, where there's a unionized state, you
Mhm.
become a teacher, you're automatically in some type of union and what have you. Where Mississippi is a lot harder in a lot of southern states, it's a lot harder to recruit because we're a right to work state. And so a lot of my work is convincing teachers that they should be part of the teacher union or the association. That's part of the work. And so when they ask, why should I be a part of? What do you have to offer? Yes, we talk about the issue regarding, the legal issue. That's a part of it. But at the same time, it's the results of we all have some type of issue that we're trying to address. I can't tell you how many times teachers call me and they complain about oversized classrooms. They're talking about different issues regarding discipline. They're seeking counsel about issues that they have in the classroom and beyond. And so what I tell them is that the association is like your platform, it's your voice, it's your power. And so if you want to see change, this is how they impact change. And so one of the things that I often tell educators in Mississippi and in Jackson is that our association was a leader or the leader in the advocacy that led to the largest teacher pay raise in Mississippi's history. So when I
Yes.
tell them that, we're always talking about the pay, the teacher pay, and that. I say, hey, we led in that fight that led to the largest teacher pay raise in Mississippi's history. Okay, so that doesn't happen without the power of the association or the power in our numbers. And so, whatever issue that you're having, I mean, there are millions of issues, and the thing is, what are we doing about it? And so that's one of the things that I tell educators as far as being a part of it. Yes, we offer the legal representation. That's great. We have we have great leadership development. This is a place where you can come to really grow in your leadership. I didn't set out to be president of the local association, but just going through, I knew I wanted to be a part of the work, and
Mhm.
advocate, but I didn't set out to be president of the local association. But that happened, and I can't tell you how my leadership has grown because of it. One of the things that I talk to teachers here, that are looking to get, promoted, they're looking for that, that advantage or that in or how to move up in the system. Well, we've been able to, through our advocacy, we've been able to advocate and present and be in spaces with district leadership. So we've been able to put our teachers in front of district leadership where they can see that leadership being put on display. And so I can't tell you what impact that would have on a teacher that's looking to be promoted to the next level. So we grow leaders. If you're looking to be a leader, we advocate around issues that matter to you. We have proof. We have documentation. We have results that lead that document and show our effectiveness. And so those are the things I try to give off to those that we're looking to bring into this work. Again, if you want to see change, the power is in the numbers, and I keep telling them that this is where the power lies. This whole thing, at the end of the day, this thing is about power. It's about power, and it's about resources. You don't get the resources brought to you or to your students or to you, unless you exude some type of power, and that comes through our numbers and our advocacy.
Thank you. I was a former NEA rep in my school in Virginia, so I got it. I grew, like I said, I grew up. We grew up. My mom was NEA. My mom was PTA president. Our dad and mom were very engaged. So that moves us into the last couple of questions. I'm looking at the clock. And we always try to do respect our time, but respect the person who edits my podcast because he be fussing at me. It's my nephew. This is the only time he can fuss. Auntie. It was an hour long. So you are husband, father, somebody's son, educator, community leader, school community leader, fraternity brother, all of the things. And one of the biggest things we know in education is how do we manage our time? I'm going to ask you because it's a lot. I've made about 16 things, and I know I missed about 25 more. How do you, what is your, without giving out all your business, what do you do? Do you do a paper planner? Do you use iCloud, Google? Do you use Trello? How do you manage your time, and what's your driving force behind how do you manage this?
Absolutely. Well, first, as you mentioned, I first recognize that I'm a husband and father first. So that's number one. So how do I manage my time around those two roles? And so that's number one. But to your question, I'm a paper person, so I write things down. I have a calendar, and I write things down, and I just make sure that. And sometimes I do about to kind of pull myself back, but make sure I'm not overextending myself. When I feel like it's kind of going into, kind of chipping into the family space, that time I pull myself back. And it's also about making sure that you have great people around you, for one, too. As president of the association, you're asked to be several different places and be a part of several different things. And at the very beginning of my tenure, if you will, I try to put myself in all those places at one time. And then I quickly realized that I can't do that. So making sure that you have the right team in place, of people have a great vice president, a great executive board, that when I can't show up at places, that they're showing up at places. And so that's really the biggest thing. I write things down, plan things out, and just make sure that I have a great team in place that can help be in places and do things that I'm not always able to do.
Okay, so the second question from that is something I'm really big on and I advocate a lot. Using your planning time wisely.
That's right.
What would be one thing you're like, look, this is the one thing you must do or must not do to ensure that you're using your planning time wisely while you're at work?
The one thing I must do to make sure I'm using it wisely. You know what? This is a teacher thing, but running off copies. Especially as an ELA teacher, social studies, just a teacher in general, you know how it is when trying to make those copies. And so making sure I get there to the copy machine early, because if you in line, then you then you can hang it up, or you're rushing, and so that's the one thing that I have to make sure that I'm doing, that I'm using wisely, is making sure that I'm at the copy machine, and also making sure I stay up on emails.
Got it. Gotcha. So I know for me it is I have to close, but I leave the door open because the teachers I work with, I cannot stay in my door closed. I don't know why. And security comes back, closes my door. You're here. Boom. The kids, I was like, I'm in trouble. I'm about to I'm about to get a text because Gordon closed your door. But I would play, and they would know, they would laugh at me. I would play like TV or some food or some type of watching other people. I know this is crazy. On YouTube, there's a whole planning community, and we watch other people writing their planners and plan out their
Wow.
life. And I would put one of those on, and I am working.
Yes.
And they would kind of know, like, and they might, like, my AP, she would peek her head in. But if she peeks her head in, I know she really needs me, like, for a moment, so I'm gonna pause everything. But like other teachers, they would come in, they would like they would ask, "You got a minute?" And I'm like, "You got five on, you got five. How long you need?" Or let me finish this, and I'm gonna come to you. But I always have to do that because look, now the copy machine, I'm gonna come early in the morning, or I'll stay late. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. But coming in and people talking to me or just sharing or they need something, I would have to be like, hold on, wait a minute. I even have my students trained to the point where I was like, if you see me sitting down when you walk in class, or you see me sitting down at any point during class at my desk, that means something is up and I need to get something done and handled immediately. Okay,
Yes.
reason up. There we go. All right, so we're gonna get ready to wrap up. So here are the last three questions. I love these three questions. The first one is, I'm a concierge, and sometimes people don't remember what that is. But back in the day, you went to the nice, fancy, expensive hotel. You and your wife checked in. Somebody is watching the kids, or you brought the nanny with you to watch the kids. Either way, you're more comfortable with, because everybody don't leave their kids, and I know. And with you and your wife, it's y'all weekend. You checked in, and you're like, I'm gonna surprise her. Matter of fact, I'm gonna surprise both of us. We're gonna go all out. And you go to the concierge and you say, I would like tickets to this Broadway show, and or I want to go to this 5-star Michelin restaurant. And I want you to tell me what country, what state, what city you would go to. And if it's a Broadway show, where would you go? What restaurant would you eat in? And tell us why. And don't worry about it. COVID is not here, doesn't exist, and your money is endless.
You know what? I've always had, and I guess being in this work kind of got me in that mode. But I have, for years, and I'm hoping it's going to be a reality soon. But DC, I've all for years I've wanted to go to DC,
Oh, we
and
can make,
so you
come
know,
on.
it's,
Tell her, and
so
you want to tell us why you want to go to DC. What you want to do?
well, I'm not sure if it's still around. But Ben's Chili Bowl, is that
Oh,
still
yeah.
that's
Oh,
still
yeah.
around?
And it's an after dark you can go to beside it. What? Oh, we can
Yeah,
make
so
it.
yeah, so I want to hit up Ben's Chili Bowl. I've heard great things about it, and so that will definitely. And my wife and I were always trying out different foods and things like that in Mississippi. Of course, when you're in Mississippi, we eat down here, and
Yeah.
so
Woo.
so that's a place that I've heard great things about. I've actually saw them on a couple of little those specials on TV and things like that. So definitely DC. I love the just the energy around the DMV area in general. There's just a certain energy that you all have regarding this work, and and it's homie, it's us. I like being around my people.
Woo.
you
It
know.
is. It is. Okay, look. So NEA or anyone else, first of all, anyone out there who would like George Stewart II to come speak or train that's in the DMV area, he's gonna come out because it's gonna be business first, and then he and his wife gonna hang out. And we're gonna do Ben's Chili Bowl, but I'm gonna send you a list. You're gonna have to go to the Smithsonian, to the we call
Yes.
it, we call it the Black Museum. That's not the real name, but
Hey, that's us. That's us. Yes.
and there's some other black restaurants, high end, middle, our grub hub and all of the things. And you and your wife can go hang out and enjoy So yeah, we're gonna make that. We're gonna make that happen. Let me see. Let me go conference you need to go to, and get that started. But I thank you for that. So we're gonna move right into the next question. The next question I always give leeway and honor and respect to anybody who has attended an historically Black college or university, which is an HBCU, and or you are a member of the Divine Nine. So if you don't know and you listen to the podcast, you should already know. But the Divine Nine are the nine Black Greek sororities and fraternities that were founded in the 1900s. I'm gonna say it like that all the way through, all the way through. So however you want to shout out your HBCU and or your fraternity, go ahead and do it now.
Absolutely. Well, I didn't attend a HBCU. However, I am a member of the great Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So I want to shout out my brothers in blue, as well as my sorors, the Zeta Phi Beta Incorporated. And I must, because I'm married to Delta, so I got to shout out Delta Sigma Theta. I got to represent. I got to shout out to my wife and Kim if I did. So,
I wasn't gonna let you forget because I was like, wait, his wife is a Delta for what I understand.
I got the, but just shout out to all of the Divine Nine. I mean, we have a great relationship. It's all love and respect. We have our jokes and things like that, our digs, but it's all in good fun. It's all in love. But definitely shout out to all of the Divine Nine, but definitely my brothers in blue five.
Love it. Thank you. And yes, people don't get that. I'm like, only if you're not in the D9, you can't joke. You're gonna look at you like it's like going to HBCU. Don't talk about. We will talk about each other, but you cannot talk about us.
That's right.
Okay, it's okay. So thank you for that shout out. I love it. Thank you for your wife and your family for letting you come on our show. Before we wrap up, please tell TEC family how they can get in contact with you via social media or LinkedIn or a website or email.
Yes, sure. Definitely love to connect. You can find me on Twitter, G Stu, or I changed it up, but I think it's a JAE President. But LinkedIn, definitely George Stewart II. I'm also on Instagram, which I'm on there a lot, the JAE President, as well as my name, George Stewart II, or it's George Stewart II. I tried to put the second, but it came out George Stewart II. So George Stewart II on Instagram. Also Instagram, the JAE President. I'm on Twitter, the JAE President, as well as LinkedIn, my name, George Stewart.
And all of that information will be in the show notes so y'all can hyperlink and click it, go straight there, follow, subscribe. Listen, if you want him to come speak or train, we slide into people's DMs professionally, okay? Because he is married. We're not doing that. It is, hey, I heard you on the podcast. We would like to hire you to come speak. This is what we're going to do, y'all, okay? Because we're going to pay people for their time and for
Love
their
it.
expertise. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed this. I have learned a lot, and you got my wheels turning about this mentorship because I'm like, yes, this is what
Yes.
we're missing. So we're gonna talk offline about that. But this is how we wrap up. I am Benita Gordon. I was raised in Little Shallow Baptist Church on Otterdam Road in Emporia, Virginia. Shout out. Okay. Reverend Jacob Turner Jr., may he rest in heaven, was the pastor that raised me and baptized me. But it's a family church, so y'all better not never say nothing bad though. So, but this is how I end the program where you're a guest of the church, you're a guest pastor at my church. I've already opened the doors of the church, so you don't have to lead anybody to Jesus because if they didn't know him now, that's not our fault. But your job is to end the service, and you can end this podcast however you would like to. You can quote, you can sing, you can rap. I didn't have anybody dance yet, but that's up to you. However you want to end the podcast, we will give you the floor. And thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Benita, thank you so much for having me in your space to talk to your audience. I had a great time having this conversation. And just a quote that I use to help drive me because I'm a advocate and organizer. And the quote is so simple. It stuck with me. But the quote is, "If not you, then who? If not now, then when?" So that's just a quote that I'm sure is well known across this country. But it's something that I use because we use as organizers a call to action. And that was my call to action. And so I like to put that out there in the space as well. So, hopefully it will help somebody else to come out and, and answer that call to action and be a part of this work, because this work cannot be done without you. As I've always said, this thing is about power. This thing is about, position. And so it can't be done without successful, effective organizing. And so that is my call to action, to you all out there that may be listening. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? So I'm hoping that, those that have not come into the space, that have not answered the call, to make sure that our students have the equitable resources needed for them to be successful, for them to maximize their potential. I hope that you come into this space and answer that call to action to help be a part of this work. And again, I thank you, Benita, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Look, that's all we needed to say right there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, TC family, for joining us for season 6 of the Education Concierge podcast with Mr. George Stewart II. See y'all later.